salutations, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Deliver It, an Agile Product Owners podcast. My name is Cory Bryan, and I'm one of your hosts, and the other one is over there. Hi, Kim Andrikaitis.
Hello, Cory Bryan.
What is happening?
Not a lot. What's going on with you?
Well, this is our very first episode.
It is.
Our very first time that we've talked on microphone.
Correct. We have talked to each other before.
Once or twice, yes. And we're going to talk about that, go into the backgrounds as we go. But this is the first time we've started to do something like this together. Kim and I are both product owners.
It's true.
And we're going to talk about all kinds of things once our music fades out. Like that. Isn't
jazzy.
That wonderful?
That was very jazzy.
Thank you.
I enjoyed that.
So since this is our first episode, we want to talk about our backgrounds a bit and why we think we can talk intelligently about product ownership, and all the things that entails.
That's very true. We also want to talk about our goals, ideas for this show, any sort of topics we have for future episodes. Also, I think it's important that we talk about articles, conferences, maybe any sort of interesting topics that we can read up on, basically anything that's of interest to the greater product owner community.
That's right. So hopefully this is interesting to everybody because it's interesting to us. We think it's the best job. Ever.
Yes.
I was a lifeguard once. That was pretty good.
Were you?
But this is pretty good too.
Do you think that being a lifeguard is less than being a product owner?
Well, you wear more clothes as a product owner.
That's true.
All right.
And maybe that's a good thing.
Less chance of drowning. Less chance of drowning, too. So let's talk first about a little bit about our backgrounds and how we got to where we are, kind of the relevant bits. We don't want to go back ancient history, but maybe the last couple of years and talk about things we've done around the product owner space.
Sure, yeah.
So you want to go first?
I'll start. Actually, I'm going to go back a little bit in time.
Okay.
So I actually started off as a graphic designer, and I really, to be honest with you, Cory, I was not a good graphic designer. I really wasn't. I was horrible at creating logos, and I just wasn't really good at what I was doing. And I was working for IBM at the time, and my whole entire job was to create PowerPoint presentations for an exec. That was my whole job. Needless to say, I didn't really do much work. I just kind of hung out because there really wasn't that many presentations I needed to do. And then one day, my executive, he moved to Japan. And the IBM people came to me and they said, now that he's gone, we don't really have a need for you and your graphic design abilities.
Yeah.
And I said, what am I going to do now? And they said, well, you can either find another job, which I wasn't a very good graphic designer, or you can take this job as a quality analyst. And I said, all right, I'll stay here. I had my friends there, and, I was there for a couple of years. So I got into QA, and I ended up testing for 10 or 12 years. And then eventually that got boring, and I moved into business analyst, and I was a BA for a couple years at Credit Suisse. And then I came to Deutsche Bank, and I was hired as a product owner by you. Mm-hmm. And you taught me everything I know.
Sorry.
Kind of. But I've been a product owner ever since, and currently I work for an e-procurement software company. Again, as a product owner, very different environment. It's been interesting, though, because I've been around a couple different companies as a PO, and I've gotten a good chance to experience the different facets of being a PO and the different environments and the different cultures. So it's been great, and I love it. I love what I do.
That's fantastic. Yes, and so our overlap is the time that we worked together is about a year and a half, I think, on two different projects at the bank. So, okay.
Yeah.
And my background is very similar. Started in sales and service and then got into testing. Was in testing for a long time. When I came to the bank, actually when I was in testing, I was trying to find a way to get testing more involved in the process up front. And that led me to agile methods, and that led me to learning a lot of things in the local Raleigh area, Triangle RTP and TISCA, those types of groups. Got to the point where I was a test manager for 6 years and was having some success with bringing in some agile methods and doing some tiger team type activities where we did some very specific Scrum type things. We didn't call it Scrum. I didn't want to use the words because I believe some people, when you start using terms, some people get upset or some people have preconceived notions.
Sure.
So we didn't use the terms, but we used the actions and we used the mindset. We were having some success with that. And the bank wanted to do more of it than my previous company did. So I decided, great, I'll go over there as a QA manager. Came over to the bank for a few months, got the opportunity to be a Scrum Master for a program that was starting up. That's the one that we ultimately worked on together.
Yep.
Got to be the product owner on that role. Grew the team from 8 people total that were cross-located. We had a few folks in Cary. We had a few folks in the Ukraine.
That's right.
And then we grew it to 80 people. We had 8 teams. We had 3 separate product owners, of which you were one. And then I was acting as the chief product owner. We ran that program for 2 years and had great successes with it. We moved to releasing about every 6 to 9 months. 6 to 9 weeks. God, that's not agile at all.
No. That's very waterful.
It's bad. But every 6 to 9 weeks to releasing every month.
That's right.
We met the demands of the business, and it was a great product, a great team, great effort. And I loved it, and that's what I like to do. And now I've done it for a few more projects in the bank, and I'm continuing to do it for others. And learning and trying to do the same type of thing. So it's a good role. I like the role. It's something I'm also doing with NC State. So there's a senior design center at NC State that I'm involved with. And basically we go over to the students. They're used to having Boeing or GM or other companies come in and with a requirements document and saying, here, build this in this semester.
Right.
What we're doing is going over there with designers and saying, here's a problem we'd like you to help us solve. How can we do it? And to get their buy-in, to get their involvement in it. And I've been doing that for 6 semesters now, and it's been a very good highlight. It's my weekly break to go, okay, here's a chance to really expand my brain and to start working with some good students who are interested in solving real-world problems, and they're fantastic at it, and it's fun. I don't go in there with a requirement document. I go in there with a goal,
right,
with a vision of the product that we want them to build, and we've had really good success with them owning that and delivering it, and that's what we want with our teams at work, and that's what we want with the show, and that's what we want with a lot of things. So that's where we come from.
Yes.
A little bit of the background.
Let me ask you, what do you like most about being a PO?
What do I like most about PO? Are you interviewing me? What are you doing?
I'm just curious because I think everybody's answers are a little bit different.
They are.
And I work with 17 other POs. Literally, there's 17 groups of us, and we all have little tiny little mini teams. And I noticed that there's a lot of similarities throughout the POs. I'm not going to say what those things are, but there are some similarities. So, I kind of wonder what type of person is drawn to this role. And I know this is probably a show topic eventually, but let's just touch the surface a little bit.
You know what? I think the thing that I like the best about the role, and this is what I'll go with as my answer, I like to solve the problem. I like to be, I like to be part of the team that comes up with a solution that nobody thought about, that when you give it to a user and you see how they use it, and see how it changes their day, and see how it changes their behavior or their attitude or something else, and it makes an impact. That's what I really like, is making that impact.
Is that your final answer? I'm
going to go with that, yeah. That's my final answer.
Final answer.
So, yeah, what about you?
I'm a little bit outgoing, just a little bit, but I really enjoy the collaboration between myself and my team members. My stakeholders, my department heads, whoever. I love the collaboration. I love to build the relationships. Like you, I think it's so cool to see something that's this vision in my head become something that's very tangible, and watching that process occur and kind of directing it. And, I'm a bit of a control freak, so I also like that part of it. Yeah. I think there are certain things that some POs have, and I'm going to say control freak is kind of one of those things. But that's what I love about the role. It's fantastic. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interview you.
No,
I was just curious.
It's a good conversation. That's what we're doing this for. is to have that type of conversation because there's several things. We read several articles and books and online postings and everything else. But I really looking around for things. I listen to Agile podcasts. Bob's got a great one with Metacast. I listened to one the other day talking about product ownership on this Agile Life. And they're great podcasts. They go talk about all things Agile, but there's nothing specific to talk about product owners, and there's not that much information out there about product owners.
That's true.
And that's why we wanted to do this, was to kind of get more information out there and at least talk about things that are interesting, that are either controversial or new or better ways to do things. So let's talk about then basically what we're going to do with the show.
Okay.
So like we said, we've been product owners ourselves for a little over 3 years each.
Yep.
We've done multiple releases.
Oh, yes.
I know I've done at least 24 releases on 4 different product lines.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I've done that many.
You were part of most of them.
I was part of those.
Yes.
Yes, that's very true. In my current position, we don't release monthly. We actually release almost essentially quarterly.
Yeah.
It's about 3 times a year that we release. But we have such a huge product that we can't. There would be so much overhead with the training and the rest if you were to release it monthly. But yeah, I definitely been through some releases.
Yeah, we're not on the level of Etsy or anything where you're releasing 30 times a day, right?
Ooh.
I'd love to do that.
That would be exhausting.
You think?
Imagine all the testing that would be involved with that. No.
The infrastructure and all that stuff.
Oh.
I want to have that problem one day. I want to have
be
that
releasing
problem.
that often?
Yeah.
You're
It's
weird.
amazing.
Way weird.
But that's the kind of thing we want to talk about during the show. We want to talk about different ideas, different ways people are doing things.
I think it's important to talk about experiences. I know you and I have similar experiences for a little bit, but then we branched off, and I've kind of gone my own way, and I've had a lot more different experiences since then. So I think it's really important that we talk about our experiences when it comes to how we've maybe handled challenges or how we've made improvements. Kind of almost a retrospective on the retrospectives kind of a thing. I think it's important that we discuss those types of topics.
Okay. And I've used this term before, and I've been told that I'm a purist when it comes to product ownership or agile methodologies or anything like that. When I think of that, what I think of is I'm going to follow the guidelines that are put out in the frameworks. I'm going to have retrospectives. I'm going to have stories. I'm going to have things that we should do. Everything should be taken in context. So do you need hardening sprints? Do you need 3 sprints before you do a release? All that stuff is dependent on your context, for your business, for your application, for your company that you're working in. Some companies are more agile than others. Some companies aren't agile at all.
Right.
I know. It's scary to think of.
Frightening.
And you're trying to be agile in those companies. So how do you do that type of thing? It depends on your context. But when I think of the way that I want to do things, I want to follow those guidelines as best we can. I want to keep that mindset in my head, which is I want to value, this is the manifesto stuff. I want to value working software over anything else.
People
I want
over
to make sure
process.
we have that conversation. We don't rely on tools. We have tools and we have documentation. We have all that stuff, but it's in addition to the other things that we prioritize first, or that I would prioritize as a product owner.
Right. And I think it's something where you have to constantly remind yourself of what being a purist is all about, because I'm the same way. I'm also very into the process, the steps, the retrospectives and the planning sessions and the rest of it. And sometimes it's easy to gloss over it because of, an impending deadline or something that's come up and it's like, you don't need to have the retrospective. Let's just work. But as a PO purist, no, we do need to have the retrospective. And I think it's important that we continue to validate that the process, it works, and and we have to continually push the process forward in order to get everybody else kind of on the board. I feel like we've talked about this before. We're guiding the ship. We're the captains of our ship. And if I'm not steering my ship and I'm letting everybody else, then I'm going to lose what I believe to be true, which is the agile processes.
Yeah.
So,
and that's not to say that you and I, or the product owners, know the best way to do anything.
Of course not.
I mean, I definitely have opinions.
Yes. You do.
Rather strong opinions at times, sometimes too strong, but I have those opinions, and I feel that I should express those opinions as tactfully and as respectfully as I can. But there are some things that, we want to make sure we do, and some things we want to make sure we don't do. Mm-hmm. And so I will offer suggestions. I will hear people out. I want to hear other opinions. I want to hear why I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. Prove to me that I'm wrong so that we can make a better decision. Mm-hmm. I don't have all the answers, but I should have some.
Yep.
And that's the other thing I think is a big part about this job is you have to be willing to make a decision. You have to be willing to make a wrong decision and come back and say, well, that was wrong. Let's do it this way now.
Right. You can't really have an ego. You have to kind of check your ego out the door when you're a product owner because you're going to be making wrong decisions. And people will come to you and they'll say, you made a wrong decision. Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, I did. But, let's pick ourselves up and move forward.
Yeah.
But I think another key of being a PO is balance, because you've got to balance personalities and the workload and just all the aspects of being a PO. You're kind of that middle person. There's a lot of balancing that needs to occur as well.
Yep. And so one of the things we're going to talk about in our first real episode, which this is episode 0.
I consider this a real episode.
Do you? Okay.
It's not a fake episode.
No, but it's more about us and about the show than about...
it's always about us, Cory.
Okay.
Or at least it's always about me.
It can't be about us. But in our first episode that we're going to record next is going to be about the basics of product ownership and what we think that should be, and some level set on that, so we can go forward into some really deep things. And we'll talk about those in a minute. So what do we hope to accomplish in this?
Well, I definitely, as I stated before, I think we want to share our experience, talk about ways to improve, get into the details of the role and what's required of a product owner. I definitely think it's important that we create a community of POs to interact with each other and to learn as a group, as well as, answering questions about how to deal with situations that are common to the product owners and how to make incremental improvements, essentially. But I think overall, Cory, I really believe it's having fun with the role and not taking it so seriously.
And I agree. I get frustrated sometimes. I get anxious at times. I get nervous at times. But it's all because I'm driving toward a vision or a goal. And if I'm not having fun doing that, then I'm not a happy person to be around.
You're not a happy Cory.
No, I'm not a happy Cory. I'm Hulk Cory. Angry Cory.
Hulk Cory.
But it is. I like to have fun. I mean, I think most people who've been on teams with me and with us know that when things are going good, we're laughing, we're kidding, we're cupping up, we're having fun. And when things are kind of stressful, you know what? Things are stressful. So we need to admit that and find a way to get through it.
I think we need to add a show topic on how to have fun.
How to have fun? Okay.
I mean, I say that because, again, I think you could just take it so seriously, and you go home at the end of the day and, you drown your sorrows in apple juice. Wine. All right, wine.
You drink wine.
I do. I just read a thing today that red wine is very good for you, by the way.
Really?
It helps keep your weight down.
All right.
It's totally off topic. Sorry about that. But I think it's important that we do include, discussions on how to kind of make it more fun. And I know that I've seen teams make their stand-ups more fun or, their retrospectives more interesting. And I definitely would like to add that to the list of show topics.
I will. It's so added.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Some other things we're going to do with the show. Actually, I'm going to get the list, our backlog that we're using.
Ooh, backlog.
Yeah, that's right. We're using the wonderful tool Trello to go through our backlog. So our first show
is very cool, by the way.
It is very cool.
I'm going to give a big shout out to Trello.
Yeah, and it's free.
Whoop whoop.
It's free. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the basics, like I mentioned. Next show, we're going to talk about the product owner basics. Some other things, and these are in no particular order. These are just on our backlog. Acceptance criteria for stories themselves.
Yes.
Tools, agile across multiple teams. Scaling is a big thing. Automation. The backlog itself, backlog grooming. daily stand-ups, estimation, always a fun topic.
Oh, that's a good topic. We should have some guest speakers for estimation.
We are going to have some guest speakers. So I do want to interview people. I do want to talk to people who are actually doing the role, doing it well, doing it for products that we know. We definitely will talk about products that use agile methodologies and see talk about how they were developed. We definitely want to talk to people. I've got some ideas we've had some ideas on people we want to talk to that have written about product ownership or produced videos on product ownership. Talk to them, get their opinions on things. Definitely want to talk about release planning.
Yes.
Roadmaps. Saying no. As a product owner.
We definitely need to talk about saying no.
no.
Just say no.
Just say no. Demos, planning, stakeholder conversations.
Yes.
Stories themselves. The lovely acronym INVEST.
I love INVEST.
We need to talk about those. That's negotiations that we've got in there. The sprint length, different types of sprint lengths.
Yep.
The different methods. So we've got Scrum, we've got Kanban, we've got Lean, we've got product ownership in all those spaces. Working with a coach, working with the dev team, working with a tester. So those are some ideas we have for future shows that we'll flesh out as we go. But we are always open to feedback and to other suggestions.
I would love to hear other suggestions.
Like what? I mean, besides that, how to have fun. What do you think?
I liked my how to have fun. I thought that was a pretty good one. Just off the top of my head. I still like the just say no one. I have a really difficult time with saying no.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an interesting one.
Yes.
Maybe we should interview somebody for the just say no.
I think sure. No.
No.
I'm going to say no to that.
I think essentially, Cory, we really just want to talk with our listeners, listen to their concerns, their issues, suggestions, and their overall successes as well, because we are a huge community. So it is important that we collaborate and we come together and we act as a community and not just disparate POs doing their own thing.
Yeah, we want to learn how to get better.
Absolutely. Oh, we're not perfect by any means.
No.
But we want to be.
We want to be better.
We want to be
We
better.
want to be better. I hate the term best practice.
Why?
Because it implies that it's best in all cases.
What would you term it?
Winning strategies. I don't know.
Think about that some more. Come back to me.
We'll think about that some more.
Yeah.
And technically what we want to do, so we'll have a site. We'll give that address out in a little bit. But we want to do kind of a 30 to 45-minute show every 2 weeks.
Yes.
We want to have some information, like we said, some interesting news on the product owner. So if there's any conferences or any good articles that spark some debate, we can talk a little bit about those. But mainly we wanted to be talking about 15 to 20 minutes about a discussion topic every show to talk about the things that we just went over, backlogs, talk 20 minutes, get down deep into the weeds on some of those things. And if we have to come back and somebody has a question about something, we'll definitely have that as well.
Absolutely.
We definitely want to hear if you guys have questions. We'll give out our contact information in a little bit. But if you have questions that you're wondering how to solve a problem, or if you had a success, like Kim mentioned, if you had something that you wanted to share and that might work for other people, love to hear it.
Yeah. I'm always interested in knowing, too, kind of what the environment is for the particular POs. Because, every company is a little different. Team sizes are different. The structure's different, how well they follow the agile methodologies, that it's all it's never the same, so it's interesting to hear how people are working, kind of the struggles that they face and then the things they do to overcome them. So I'm always interested in hearing about people's experiences.
Yeah. And we definitely want to talk to, if you're working a big company and you're doing agile with an agile company,
yes,
we want to hear your experiences. If you're in a waterfall company and you're having success with agile, we want to hear about how you're doing that.
Or what's interesting too is if you're in waterfall that's transitioning to agile. That's a good one. I've done that too. That's been very interesting. So, yeah, definitely want to hear about people's experiences and what they're going through.
And I definitely want to talk to people that are releasing things on mobile platforms, and they're doing that type of thing where they're releasing 30 times a day.
Right.
That to me is fascinating. How are they doing that? How are they grooming stories that do that type of thing? Games. I love games. I'm a gamer.
You are.
I don't play Candy Crush.
I love Candy Crush.
But I like, real games.
Candy Crush is a real game.
But I want to talk to folks that develop really, A-rated titles and get those things out there on mobile platforms and desktop platforms.
I'm always curious, too, about the maturity of the team. That's how long have they been in Agile? Are they new or are they very experienced? Because that, I think, drives a lot of how the product owner behaves, how they write their stories or how they run their planning sessions. So I'm always interested in knowing about the maturity.
You just gave me an idea for a show.
He's writing something down.
So there's a concept that I've seen a couple times called shu-ha-ri.
I'm sorry. One more time.
Shu-ha-ri.
Okay.
It's Japanese or
it sounds Japanese.
Something else. But it's which level of team or agile are you at? Are you at the basic, the shu level where you follow the rules? Are you at the hu level where you kind of conform the rules to you or you to the rules?
Right.
And then there's the re level where you're super experienced and mature and you're breaking all the rules.
Yes.
But you're so effective that it doesn't matter.
Interesting.
It's that concept. I don't know that much about it. I know that there's 3 levels, and one is you do everything by the book, and the top level is you break all the rules because you don't need them.
Rule breaker.
Because you don't need them anymore. You and your team are so good
rebels
that you're producing 30 things a day, or you don't need your grooming sessions, or
what?
You don't need.
What do you mean you don't need your grooming sessions?
Because you're so good, you don't need them. Imagine that.
That hurts my head. I can't even imagine not having grooming sessions.
That's a topic I think is good.
That's
so
I'm
going to put that as a topic.
Right. And then you know what you can do? You can learn all about it and you can come back and teach us.
Because it'll make your head hurt. And that's what
right
I'm
now, my
in.
head hurts. I can't believe someone doesn't do grooming sessions.
It's okay.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Okay. Well, that's fine. But that's the type of thing we want to hear. So any other ideas like that is out there or that Kim and I have, we'll definitely start bringing up and put it on the show.
Yes. So how can they get in touch with us?
Well, we have set up a website because that's what you do
when
you have a podcast. It's called deliveritcast.com. You can go there for all the shows. We will have all the shows there. We will have them up on iTunes as soon as I can figure out iTunes and get that stuff working. We'll have it on Stitcher, so we'll have it on all the common readers. Stitcher. Mm-hmm. And then if you want to subscribe to the RSS feed, that'll be on the site as well. Nice. We have a Twitter account.
Twitter.
So you can tweet at us.
I always want to say, I don't know why I want to sing that word.
You sing everything.
Twitter.
You sing a lot of things.
I do.
It's odd.
It kind of is.
It's a little weird.
It's fun.
But our Twitter is deliveritcast, and our email is feedback@deliveritcast.com. Mm-hmm. So any tweets, emails, or information you need, that's the place to get it. Deliveritcast.com, Twitter @deliveritcast, and email at feedback@deliveritcast.com.
Very nice.
Anything else you can think of?
Oh, we probably should read the disclaimer.
Oh yes. So this is the first time we've done this.
Yes.
And we're sitting across the table from each other, so we're not doing this over Skype or everything. We're at 28 minutes right now.
Good job.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Okay. You talk too much. Just kidding.
I talk too much? Is that what you said?
I'm just kidding.
All right. So, we do want to have a little bit of a disclaimer.
Yes.
So both Kim and I are employed. Both Kim and I want to stay employed.
We'd like to stay employed.
So our disclaimer is these words are our own. They are our thoughts and not endorsed or represented by any company or organization. But if somebody wanted to, they could. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying.
So you can find, if you want to contact me, you can contact me on Twitter at @iscoreybryan, and I infrequently blog at don'tyellatme.wordpress.com.
Your blogs are really nice. People should go check those blogs out.
I need to write more.
But they're really good.
I don't like writing.
I'm giving you a shout out. They're pretty good. Yeah.
But I like talking.
You do like talking.
So that's why we're doing this instead of me blogging
instead of
more.
writing.
But I'll try to do better,
Yes.
I promise.
Yes.
And then if you want to reach Kim, best to do that through
The show contact info. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I don't tweet, and I don't Twitter. And I don't tweet
You
on
will.
Twitter.
I will get you on Twitter. It'll be my mission.
No.
All right. And there is episode 0
Episode
delivered.
0.
So thank
And
you very
it was
much.
a real episode, by the way.
That was a real episode.
Yes.
So thank you very much for joining us today. And we will be back next time.
Yay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.